consists of what? First the eggshell. So what is the function of the eggshell? It protects the inner liquid, okay, liquid protein, and then it also acts in gaseous exchange. Okay, then next comes the shell membrane. So its functions, it acts also as a defense line. Okay, then comes the albumin. It is rich in protein and it contains what? Vitamin which one? Riboflavin. That is why it has got a green or a slight yellow color. Okay, and after that comes the yellow yolk. So it is very rich in what? Vitamin A, D, E, yes, okay, and minerals, calcium, manganese, phosphorus and all that. Okay, so now we'll do how that egg is formed, the formation of the egg. So this is the reproductive system of the hen. So it consists mostly of the ovary and the oviduct. Okay. In all animals, both the left and the right ovary and the oviducts are functional. But in case of hen, the right ovary and oviduct, they are dormant. Only the left side is functional. Okay. So to form an egg, it takes how many hours? Nearly 25 hours to 27 hours. Okay, so some people, if they say in one day we are getting 2 eggs, this is false, because for formation it takes a minimum of 25 hours. That is a minimum. Okay, so the feed, whatever the hens are taking, it is converted into the egg. So the ovary, the left one is situated in the body cavity near the backbone. And at the time of hatching, just remember one thing, when a female chick is hatched, it contains nearly about 4,000 ova, out of which some of them, they will develop into mature size yolks when the hen matures. Not all, but some of which will develop into full size yolk only when the hen matures. Okay, and this yolk, it is enveloped by a thin shell. It's a follicle which is attached to the ovary. So there is a sac. The yolk is covered by a sac, and that sac is very rich in blood vessels. Okay, understood this? So the ova, nearly in a small female chick, when it is just hatched, it contains about nearly 4,000 ova, and then some of which will develop into full size yolk, and the yolk, it is shelled by a thin shell, okay, sac, which is very rich in blood. So what happens, this egg, when it is, the yolk, when it's fully mature, what will happen, the sac will rupture and then it will go to the oviduct. So the oviduct, it is a very long tubular structure. It consists of 5 parts. Okay, so the oviduct, it is nearly about 70 centimeters long tubular structure, and it consists of the infundibulum. Infundibulum is the first part, which is funnel shaped. So it receives, the main function is to receive the yolk which has ruptured from the sac. Okay, it is about nearly 8 to 10 centimeters long. So you have to know how long it is and what is the main function. So infundibulum, it receives the egg yolk. Next, the egg goes to the yolk goes to the magnum. This is the second part, and it is about 33 to 36 centimeters long, and its wall is thicker, and over here the thick albumin is added to the egg. So the infundibulum only receives the yolk, then it comes to the magnum. Then the magnum, the thick albumin is added. After the magnum, it goes to the isthmus. This is about 10.6 centimeters long, and over here the shell membrane, and the water and some minerals are added. Okay, so in the what is added in the isthmus? The shell membrane, some minerals and water. After that, it goes to the uterus. This is about 10.1 centimeters long, and over here mostly the shell is formed. That is why it takes a long time. So the uterus stays for a very long time. I'll tell you in which part it stays, the egg stays for how long. That is why it comes to 25 hours. Okay. So in the uterus, the main things happen. That is, the shell is formed, the thin white, and some minerals are added. And then comes the next part, comes the vagina. There only it stays for a very small time, and then it comes out through the cloaca. Okay, so just note this down. Infundibulum, it stays only for 15 minutes. And its main work is to, it is just, here only fertilization takes place if males are there. Eggs are also formed if there are no males also. Without males also, in egg type breeds, you will find the egg. But if males are there, fertilization will take place only in the infundibulum. So after this stays there for 15 minutes, then it comes to the magnum. There it stays for 3 hours. Over here the thick albumin is added. Then after that it comes to the isthmus. It stays there for 1 hour. Over here some water, minerals are added, and the shell membrane. Then it comes to the uterus, that's the shell gland. Here it stays for nearly 21 hours because it takes a long time for the formation of the shell. And over here even color is added if it is a tinted egg. Again, some breeds they give what? Tinted eggs or brown shelled eggs. The color develops only in the uterus. In white shelled eggs it's okay, but in tinted eggs, so the color comes only in the uterus. Then after that it goes to the vagina cloaca. There it stays less than 1 minute. Over there it is no function, it just passes out. Okay? So just remember in which part what is added. So formation egg is very easy, nothing is there. Okay? Ovary, what happens? The ova, it will mature into yolk when the hen matures. After that it will come to the infundibulum, will receive the matured yolk. Then it will come to the serially this way. Okay? So you have to provide a lot of calcium to them. Otherwise what will happen in the uterus, the shell will not be able to form properly, and the egg which comes out might be very thin shelled. Sometimes shellless eggs also comes out. So the calcium content is very necessary. So the shell material consists of what? Shell consists of calcium carbonate. So I told you another thing that day. In the shell there is a small covering chalky powder, like what is it? It's the cuticle. So you should not wash an egg because it is soluble in, this cuticle is soluble in water. So if you want to clean an egg, you have to either clean it with a dry cloth or with sandpaper or something with a dry thing, not with water. Okay? So this is just partially, it blocks the pores, this cuticle, and plus it acts as a defense mechanism. It does not let the microorganisms attack the embryo inside. Okay? So anything to understand in this part? Understood? Anything, you are free to ask, don't hesitate. Shall I go to the next thing? Yes? Next, what are organic eggs? So the organic eggs, the nutrient content is the same. Okay? In organic eggs, the nutrient composition of egg is not different. It is the same thing, except that the hen, whatever the feed it takes, it is free of pesticides, herbicides and commercial fertilizers. Okay? So the organic eggs, they are more expensive because of the cost of production is very high. That is the thing. There is no difference in the composition except that the feeding, whatever the hen feeds on, it is free of all these things. That is fungicides, herbicides, fertilizers and so on. Okay. You all find out one thing. It's a homework assignment, whatever it's for you all. What are designer eggs? Just write down. what are designer eggs? In next class you have to tell me. Okay? And what does it contain for which it is so famous? And nowadays people, they prefer only designer eggs. Why? Okay? Next we'll come to the buoyancy test. So buoyancy test is nothing but with this test we can see the freshness of an egg. So whether an egg is fresh or not to eat. So I told you in last class that the air cell is the main thing which determines the quality of an egg. But when an egg is freshly laid, the air chamber is not formed. Only as the days pass by 1 week, it will form one egg, like that it will go on. Okay? So how you will see whether egg is fresh or not? So you have to put it in a container containing water. If it sinks to the bottom, that means it is just freshly laid. And if it falls on its side like this, the egg, suppose it is this way, if it falls on its side and it sinks to the bottom, that means it is very freshly laid egg. Okay? So about 1 week old, it will be like this. Why? Because the air chamber is not formed properly. Then as the days pass, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, what will happen? The air chamber is formed. So what will happen? It will sink to the bottom, but what will happen? The broad end where the air cell is formed, it will slightly tilt upward. Okay, but not in upright position. It will tilt slightly upward, and by 3 weeks, over 5 weeks, it will be in an upright position, but the narrow end of the egg will touch the bottom. And after it is 5 weeks, so it is considered that an egg can be eaten up to 5 weeks old. Okay? If you keep on the storage condition, that's different, but otherwise it is edible only up to 5 weeks. So after 5 weeks, what will happen? The egg will not sink anymore at the bottom, it will come up, it will float. It will either stay in the middle or it might come right on top. Okay? So if it floats, that means you know that it is an aged egg. It is more than 5 weeks old. It might be rotten also, it might be good also, but it is not very good for table purpose. Okay? So I'll just show you, see a 1 day old egg. See, the yolk has a very nice round structurally tough space surrounded by a more structural egg white. And if you candle it with against the light, if you see, you'll just see the yolk shows a very soft shadow you will see in the center. Okay? And look at in the buoyancy test, what will happen? The egg does not float and sinks to the bottom. And it's in a side position. Okay? So that means this is a 1 day old egg or next see 7 day old egg. What will happen? The other things that remain same. If you see against the light, the shadow will be a bit deeper. Okay? But it is okay. And then in the buoyancy test, what you will see? It is just slightly, it has tilted upward, the broadened part. But it is sinking at the bottom. Okay, the narrow end is still at the bottom. So when it reaches about 2 to 3 weeks old, what will happen? You will see that the albumin has come this side and the yolk is not at the center, it has gone to the sides. Okay, and then see the position of the egg in the buoyancy test, it is in a completely upright position. So that means you will know that the egg is 2 to 3 weeks old. Just by doing this, you can say how old it is. Okay. And next I've told you after 5 weeks it will float up. It will either be in the middle or right at the top. So it will start floating. Okay, so understood this part? How you will test the freshness of an egg? Okay. Now just see this, the main thing just see over here in the composition of an egg. This is very important, especially its protein content and its fat content. Okay. So the protein is nearly the same, 12.9 in fowl, duck 13.3, pigeon 13.8, quail, turkey 13.1. But the fat content is highest in duck egg. Okay? It is 14.5, compared to fowl it is only 11.5. So this composition is important. Okay, so you all note this down. This is very important. And the energy content. See, a fowl egg gives us 163 kilocalorie, whereas a duck egg gives nearly about 191, highest calorie, who gives us the duck egg. It gives about 191 kilocalorie energy. So incubation you have not done? Okay, now next, this part, have you understood structure of egg, formation of egg, test, how to test an egg? You have understood that? Any problem over there? No? Okay. Next we'll come to incubation and hatching. So what do you mean by incubation? Growth, not growth. Incubation, it is a so incubation is to provide correct temperature, humidity, ventilation for the growth or development of the embryo inside the egg. Okay, and what is the incubation period? It is the period taken from the time of setting of the eggs till the chicks are hatched. So that is called incubation period. So the incubation period for all different species are different. In case of chicken it is only 21 days. In case of duck it is 28 days. In case of quail it is 17 days. Muscovy ducks, what is Muscovy ducks? In Assamese what it is? Sinaha, okay, the big duck. So it takes about nearly 35 days. Then pigeon only 18 days and turkey 28 days. So these are the mostly important species which we are concerned about. Then what is hatching? The process of chick breaking out of an egg shell after completion of incubation is called hatching. And what do you mean by hatch? So a chick which has immediately come out after hatching is called an hatch. So you in hatchery they will see today we had 5 hatches. That means 5 chicks have come out, 5 batches. Okay? Next, these are some terms, important terms in incubation. So what is fumigation? So fumigation is a things we fumigate. Gas comes out when we mix formalin with potassium permanganate. Okay? We take about 40% from solution of formalin and 20 gram of KMNO4. That is one concentration. One concentration consists of 40 grams of formalin with 20 grams of potassium permanganate. So in a plate or in a bowl, if you put 20 grams of potassium permanganate, and on top of that we have to put the formalin, not the reverse way or the vice versa. Okay? So that is only for one concentration. This is good to kill the germs in hatching eggs and so on. Okay? But in case of incubator, so in an incubator we have to use about 3 concentration of fumigation. So 3 concentration is equal to how much? Multiply it to 40 into 3. 120 ml of formalin to 60 gram of potassium permanganate. So that is good for 100 CFT incubator space. Okay? So you can disinfect instruments. Hatching eggs only 1 concentration. For hatching eggs it has to be very mild, otherwise the embryos inside might die. So we have to be careful about that. So what is malposition? It is the faulty position of embryo in egg. So there is a correct position which comes out from the broad end. So if it is diverted from the correct position, it is called malposition. What is a hatcher? So in the incubator machine there are 2 things. One is a setter where the eggs are set till about, in case of fowl is 21 days, so 18 days we have to put the eggs in the setter. Then on the 19th day after candling we have to transfer it to the hatcher where the chicks hatch. So that is called Hatchability is the percentage of chicks hatch out of the total number of eggs set. And what is the hatchery? It is a building which with all, it's equipped with incubators and the other things necessary. So this is the incubator. This is a forced draft incubator. Okay, but this incubator, there are two types of incubators. Forced drive time thing, and the main thing over here is that in this incubator the setter and the hatcher is the same. But nowadays for high capacity eggs, so the setter is different and the hatcher machine is different. So in the setter machine we'll only set the eggs, and in the hatcher machine what we'll do, we'll transfer all the eggs after the 18th day. In case of chicken, we transfer it to the hatcher. So last 3 days it is transferred to the hatcher. So over here the hatching will continue and setting will continue in another machine. This is mostly used in very big farms where about 1 lakh chicks are coming out daily, or we can minimum of 10,000 to 20,000 eggs are set every day. Okay, so in those type of farms we have that type of machine. So this is the hatcher tray. This is a tray. Okay. So over here, after the 18th day, the eggs are transferred over here, and over here the chicks hatch. Next over here, just see how the chicks have hatched. Okay. So now for hatching, first we have to select the eggs now. All kinds of eggs cannot be selected for hatching. So now what kind of eggs we have to see? We have to have these following points we have to consider. First, the size of the eggs. So just remember one thing, medium size eggs are best for hatching. So that is a weight between 50 to 55 grams, mostly 53 grams. Okay. So between 50 to 55 grams eggs are taken for hatching in case of chicken eggs, and in case of duck 65 to 70, in case of turkey 80 to 85. Okay, so medium sized eggs, neither too small hatch properly, neither too large eggs hatch properly. So best results we get from medium sized eggs. So keep that in mind, and it weighs from between 50 to 55. But mostly 53-54 grams. Okay. Next, shape of the eggs. So it should not be either too elongated or too round or something like that. Okay. So oval eggs are best for hatching. Okay. So the shape should be oval, size should be medium, and the shell quality, it should have a tough shell. There should not be any cracks. If there are cracks, what will happen? Germs will enter. Okay, and it will make the whole egg bad. Next, the shell color. So dark brown eggs, otherwise it will hatch, but when we have to select between light brown and dark brown eggs in case of tinted eggs, we'll go for dark brown because it is said that it hatches better. Okay. Next, soil versus clean eggs. So we should always take the clean eggs. Then the age of the eggs, it should not be more than a week old. Okay, so best eggs are when it is 3 or 4 days old. That is best for hatching. But we cannot use eggs which have crossed 7 days. Then what will happen? We can take them, but the hatchability percentage will come down. Okay. So first we have to consider size of the eggs, then the shape of the egg, then the quality of the shell, then it should be clean, shell color, and the age of the egg. So these are the points you have to consider. Next, egg care and storage. So to have clean eggs, what we have to do? We have to collect the eggs very frequently. In case of winter, we can collect only 2 times to 3 times, but in summer, you have to collect more frequently, about 4 to 5 times. Okay. Otherwise, what will happen? It will become soil, and the weather conditions, if it's too hot, will become bad also. So to maintain the temperature, we have to collect it very frequently. Then we have to store the eggs in 55 degree Fahrenheit. So it should be below the physiological zero. That means the embryo should not have growth. Okay, so just below that temperature, because the only temperature is required for a chick to develop. So we should not have that temperature, just below the physiological zero. That is 55 degree Fahrenheit is the best storage for hatching eggs. But in case of table eggs, which we consume, 45 to 50. Okay, but in case of hatching eggs, 50 to 55. 55 is best. Then the humidity should be 75%. Then if we keep the eggs, okay, for about, suppose we are keeping it for 7 days, so we have to alter the positions. Otherwise what will happen? The shell membrane will adhere to the shell. Then there will be difficulty again in hatching. So we have to just move the eggs. Okay, so that the shell membrane does not adhere to the shell. Then after that, the position we should always, when we store the eggs, we should always keep with the broad end up, not the opposite way. Narrow end up, it should not be. It should always be with the broad end up. Okay? Then now these are the main important things for incubation of egg. So first thing is the temperature. So it's the most critical factor in the process of incubation. So for incubating poultry species, we have the best temperature is 37.2 to 37.7. That means about 99 degree Fahrenheit to 100 degree Fahrenheit for the first 18 days in case of fowl eggs. Okay? Just remember this. How much? Temperature 99 degree Fahrenheit to 100 degree Fahrenheit for the first 18 days. Then after the 18th day, we have to lower the temperature by 1 degree Fahrenheit. It will be about 97 to 98. Okay? Same way the humidity, it should be about 75% during the setting period. But we have to increase the humidity during the last 3 days. Do you know why? You have any idea why do we have to increase the humidity percent during the last 3 days? Anybody? Who can say? Why do you think we should increase the humidity during the last 3 days? Anybody? Don't hesitate. You can tell your views. Why? Okay. The shell is very tough. Yes? So you have to make it moist. Only then the chick will be able to break open the shell. Otherwise it will not be able to come out. Though it has developed, you will hear the sound. Before the egg hatches, you will find the small chirping sound of the embryo. Okay, that means you know that the chick is ready to come out. But if the thing is not moist enough, the shell, then what will happen? It will not be able to come out, to die inside only. So you have to increase the humidity. For that you can put a tub of water, or you can put even gunny bags which are wet. Like that. Just we have to increase the humidity to nearly 95%. Then only the chicks will hatch. So first thing is temperature, next comes the humidity, then comes the ventilation. So ventilation is very important. The carbon dioxide should not be more than 0.5%. Otherwise, what will happen? All the embryos will die. And the oxygen should be 21%, like our atmospheric temperature, no, it's no problem. And in the incubator, you just remember there are some vents. Okay? Some vents are there through which air might enter. Otherwise, it's a closed chamber. So the last 3 days, we have to totally open the vents. So there is more of oxygen the embryos get. Okay? Then comes the setting of the eggs. When we set the eggs, it should be with the large end up. And the eggs are, the trays, they are always tilted in 45 degree. So I'll show you in the farm, the setter. You'll see it is always tilted at, not in 90 degree, 45 degree angle. And then we have to turn the eggs. So 45 degree this side, 45 degree that side, after each hour. Okay? Once this side, once right side, one to the left side. Okay? So in one day, at least 4 to 6 turnings are necessary. Why? I told you before. Why? Same thing. The shell membrane will adhere to the shell and then there will be difficulty in development of the embryo. So the shell membrane might adhere to the shell. Okay? So we have to till the eggs. But this tilting or turning of eggs is continued only till the 18th day in case of fall. That means till it is in the setter. Once you remove it from the setter, put it in the hatcher, no movement of eggs is required. Okay? So no turning is required in the last 3 days. Understood? So first 18 days you have to turn the eggs to so that the shell membrane does not adhere to the shell. Okay? Then next, another thing is first candling. Okay? Just write down, candling is not here. So candling is very important. So candling is done first on the 7th day. Then next it is again done on the 18th day. So on the 7th day, what do we see? Whether the egg has developed or not. So on the 7th day, there is a candling machine. So against the light, we'll put the egg and we'll see whether the egg has developed or not. Okay? So if you all are lucky, you will be able to see. If you see the egg, you will see small blood vessels have come out. Okay? If you see against the light, that means the egg is fertile and the egg will just started development. So we will only choose those eggs. And where we see there is no development at all or there is no germ spot, nothing, we'll remove those eggs from the setter. No need for hatching, but because those eggs will not hatch. So we'll select the eggs on the 7th day by candling the eggs. Okay? Next, again we'll repeat the same procedure on the 18th day when we'll transfer the eggs from the setter to the hatcher. So we will see whether the embryo is there or not. So how you'll come to know? When you see against the light, you will see that it is fully opaque. Nothing you can see. It will be fully dark, opaque egg. Okay, that means the embryo is developed. So those eggs will hatch. Okay. So we'll do candling 2 times. When? First on the 7th day, next on the 18th day. Okay. Then the transportations, the eggs which are vigorously things. So if you bring eggs, if you don't have a farm, if you bring eggs from outside, suppose you bring from Bangalore or from Calcutta or something like that, then you have to, before putting the eggs in the setter, you have to settle the eggs. You have to keep the eggs for a minimum of 20 hours so that the eggs are settled down. Okay. Then sanitation. So total sanitation, that is very important. You all know you have before putting the eggs in the hatcher, in the incubator, you have to clean the whole incubator. I have told you by fumigation. We can fumigate the setter, hatcher trays, everything by putting it inside the incubator and doing fumigation. Then we can even disinfect the eggs. Sometimes by doing antibiotic dipping you can do. So we can put all the eggs in antibiotic solution so that it has a layer of antibiotics so that the microorganisms do not occur. Otherwise, if the eggs are clean, not required. Okay? So this is the main things in incubation. So for fumigation of incubators, 3 concentration is required for 100 CFT. Then temperature 100 degree Fahrenheit is required during the setting period. If you take in the Celsius thing is 39. Then relative humidity 60 to 70% in the first 18 days. Then you increase it to 95% during the last 3 days. Okay. Carbon dioxide should be below 0.5%. Oxygen should be 21%. So setting of eggs should be with the broad end up. Then the turning of the eggs, it should be turned minimum of 3 to 4 times a day. That is the minimum. The more you do, there's no problem. Nowadays in these incubators, it is automatic. So every hour it will tilt this side once, the whole 24 hours it will be tilting. Okay. Then candling of eggs is done on the 7th day and the 18th day. So over here, see different species, see the incubation period. Then the temperature required is how much? Just see. Okay. Then the humidity required is how much? And do not turn after the 18 days. That means just remember one thing. All species, they have different incubation periods. So the last 3 days only we'll transfer it to the hatcher. So only after the last 3 days, no turning of egg is required. If you turn the eggs, the eggs will not hatch. Okay. So over here mostly just take chicken, turkey, duck, Muscovy, quail, pigeon. These are the most important species over here for us. So you can note these things down. So went open last 3 days. So this is all. Anything you want to ask? What you have not understood in incubation, structure of egg or anything? Formation of egg. So incubation is nothing. It's a very easy process. Just you have to do everything by sanitizing it properly. Okay? So to collect the eggs frequently, you cannot store more than 7 days, and then you have to always set with the broad end up. Then you have to turn the eggs. The eggs should be clean. So if the eggs are dirty but you want to hatch them, then what you have to do, you have to either clean it with a dry cloth or with sandpaper. Okay, or you can do pressure differential method is there. We have to put in a higher temperature. Then with antibiotic solution, and the antibiotics might come inside. Okay. So you do that till the 18 day, 7 day you do candling, remove the infertile eggs. Then only the fertile eggs will be set. Then again on the 18th day again you will candle the eggs, and only the embryos which has developed you will keep them in transfer to the hatcher, rest you will remove it. Okay. So on 21 day your eggs will hatch. For that what you have to do, you have to increase the humidity. So main thing over here is temperature, humidity. Another thing you all remember, during the last 3 days we have to reduce the temperature by 1 degree Fahrenheit and increase the humidity. So that is the main thing you have to. Any confusion, anything? Anything you want to know? If you have anything, you can ask. If you have any confusion. So shell, egg, how it is formed, you know. So reproductive organ, it consists mostly of the ovary and the oviduct. Oviduct consists of 5 parts. In which part what happens I have already given you. So we'll go through it. Okay, anything else? No? Okay then.